This is the video review for Transformers Dark of the Moon Walmart exclusive Deluxe Class Optimus Prime. This is a pretty nice figure. He looks very good, except for his back kibble. And if you know what you're doing, he will stand. He doesn't have much of a heel, but if you take his foot here, which has a kind of an inward swivel, if you take his foot here and you fold it back, this can act very well as a heel. You just need to fiddle around with him a little bit to get him to stand. Now his balance isn't too terrible, especially considering that this backpack is mostly hollow, but he will fall over from time to time. You only need to take some effort to make sure he's balanced. He won't just plop down, but he will stand, and he will stand in some pretty dynamic poses. For articulation, his head will look left and right. It's a pretty unpainted head too. The details kind of hard to see, and weak light piping. His arms go forward, back, out, rotate above the elbow. He gets 180 at the elbow, and no wrist articulation. He does have a waist swivel, but you have to fold this back before you can twist it. His legs are ball jointed forward, back, out. They rotate above the knee. He gets 90 at the knee, and then you can move this for a foot, and then his actual foot can be moved like this to give him more flat, to get his feet flat. Now, one thing I do want to mention about this guy is that this gray plastic is very brittle. This is the second one of this guy I've bought, and the first one, I wasn't pleased with how tight the hip joints were, so I used super glue to beef them up. When I tried to put the leg back on, it wouldn't go on, so I just kept pressing and pressing and pressing, thinking, ooh, just a little bit more and it'll go on, I'll be so happy because it'll be tight just how I like it. Eventually I started to get worried, and then I started trying to pull it off, couldn't pull it off, rotate a little bit, try and just get any movement started, and quick, I twisted the ball off the stem here. Now pressing in wouldn't have caused that, and I didn't pull out that hard, I didn't use too much force, it was just the mere act of using this leverage to twist it. So as long as you're careful with glue, I don't think anything will happen. But do be warned, the plastic isn't the strongest in the world. It could also have been that it was a bad run of the figure, like it came from a bad batch, but I have no way of knowing. I'm just throwing this warning out there. So, Prime actually has a pretty interesting transformation. He does have some kibble, but the transformation is fun enough that I can accept having this much of the truck not transforming. So the first thing you will do is you will straighten out the legs. You'll come in here and pull out the wheel well that forms the heel on both sides. Rotate the feet in, down, and they will tab into these holes right here. So in and down. And then just leave them for now, because some of the other stuff we're doing will get in the way, and it's important just to, well, if you mess with the legs too much, they end up getting in the way of the other parts. So I want to get the upper body done first. So pull this back, push the head down, and push the chest together. Now, one thing to notice about the chest is that if you split the chest, the head doesn't come up. If you push this up against the back, it doesn't snap in, it just sort of rests in, and then pull it out, it does. And the reason why it works that way is there is a little switch back here. You press it and the head comes up. So it's pretty nice that he has a gimmick where if you pull these out, the head does pop up, but it's controllable, and I like that. That's a pretty nice design. So rotate this around, Rotate the upper body around. Separate these from the sides. These sides are part of the sleeper. And there's a little hole here, and it's a little tab right here is a side view mirror. And it holds very nicely. I like how that turned out. Fold this tab down, this tab down. Rotate these back. And then these tabs here will go into this piece, and this tab will go into this piece. And it's all very tight. And pulling it out, well, it was pretty easy that time, but sometimes, depending on how tightly I've got pushed together, it can be a pain to get that all undone. Plug the arms together and set them down as part of the sleeper. Make sure the cab is squeezed together. It will, sometimes it won't. Like right now, it's starting to peel apart. Sometimes that does happen, sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It might even be just that I don't have this pushed together all the way, or it might be that I've pushed in too much. Doesn't seem to be doing it now. Maybe just you gotta push it in as far as you can. And then, well, let's look at the legs now. With the legs, what you do is, if you see this gray part here and the little tab in here, you need to bend this back, and that will start sliding this down and in. And then there's a little tab right here that goes into a hole in the side of the leg. And we'll do that on both sides. Pull this out, rotate it in, tab it up, tab the legs together, and then you won't bend the legs this way, it won't work. What you have to do is you have to bend the waist here, right there, and then there are little tabs on the elbows that'll tab into little holes on the knees, or on the shin right below the kneecap. So push those together, and then this will telescope in, and there are little tabs right here and right here. Make sure those go inside, because they will bend out if for some reason they don't go in all the way. You stay together. I know you've done it before. And this is the truck mode. It's pretty, I won't say it's small. It is small, but it's more that because it's a very low scale. Like you can tell, for a truck, this is small. But it actually is a fairly nice deluxe-sized vehicle because it is pretty long. And then the robot mode was more than deluxe-sized. And with Prime, he has a big robot mode, a really big robot mode from a truck mode. Well, for his leader class, it's a big truck mode to a really big robot mode. So this is a somewhat small vehicle to a fairly big robot mode. So in that way, he still works. I don't think he's too small. I think this is how the mold works. He could be a bit bigger, but then a robot mode would be a little bit oversized. Rolls pretty well. Looks pretty good. It's quite a bit of detail. And I think it's a very nice figure. I quite like it. I'm glad I got a second one after my first one broke. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.